Similarly on the back, so I don't get confused. Now marking my center points. What I'm doing right now is I'm trying to lay out where the lattice work is going to go on the door. The lattice work isn't going to be perfectly centered side to side. I need about 1.25 inches of space on the hinge side, so there's enough room for the hinges, and I need about 1 inch on the latch side, so there's enough room for the handle and the latch itself. So I've marked here now where the edge, the furthest inside edge on the hinge side can be. Getting ready to lay out the furthest inside edge on the latch side as well. I'm having a little bit of trouble using my square with this door set on the box, so I'm going to go ahead and move that and set it on the table so I can draw a little better here without bumping into things. A little easier. Perhaps not as nice for my viewers to understand what we're doing, but easier for me to do the work. Alright, so now I'm marking for the top piece of trim. It's 3/4 inch wide, so I make a 3/4 inch mark. Mark the center piece. Next. You need to know where all these trim pieces are going to go. The reason is because I want them to line up perfectly with the holes that I'm going to cut in the door for the windows. So once I have all these marked out, you can see I'm putting the hinges on here where the hinges have plenty of room and the latch has plenty of room. Once I know where they're all going to go, I can go ahead and start cutting out the windows. There's a piece of lattice material. You can see it's fitting well into the lines that I have drawn here. Punch some spots here to set my drill into. Just keeps my drill in the right spot rather than the drill bit wandering around. Now I'm going to start with a smaller drill bit here to punch some initial holes into these panels where my windows are going to be. These are the topmost windows. I'm going to move up to a larger bit. This is a 1/2 inch bit, about 13mm. I need about a 1/2 inch in order to get my jigsaw in there. And then I can use my jigsaw to go ahead and complete cutting out the rest of the window. And of course, we'll clean this up some more a bit later. I want to be sure I do not overcut. I'd rather undercut the wood because I can clean it out later. Go ahead and complete cutting out these windows. Once they're cut, I can remove the piece and go ahead and start cleaning up the hole to kind of straighten things up. The jigsaw doesn't make the straightest cut in the world. Clean these with my file, work them a little bit. Block of wood here with some sandpaper stuck to it. Gives me a nice straight sanded edge. So clean those windows up. Go ahead and start work on the lower windows. I want to do the upper windows first and then the lower windows second because this keeps the board strong where I'm working so I don't accidentally break my door. It's the same process as before. We're punching some initial holes, going back in with a 1/2 inch bit, cutting it so we can get the jigsaw in there, and then we'll go ahead and jigsaw out these panels as well. This is a little different than a typical police box, but I want to have enough window space so that people can see what's inside the box, whether that's books or pantry items or what. So I'm making the whole top half of the door, if you will, made out of windows. Alright, here we go. So once we get the windows cut out, we start working on the pocket, making the pocket for the plexiglass. This is kind of a recessed area in the plywood where the plexiglass can sit. We're going to do this by cutting a couple of slots in the plywood. So I'm setting my table saw up so it only cuts about 1/4 of the way through the wood. We do not want to cut all the way through. Then I make a series of cuts from left to right as well as top to bottom. This is going to make it easier to chisel out the surplus wood we don't need here in the middle. You can see the arrows pointing to where the cuts are located. Then we go ahead and we start chiseling out the wood here. We're just taking that first layer. We don't want to go down into the second layer, just the first layer off. That layer is thick enough. It's about the same thickness as the plexiglass is. So we just want to create a pocket for that plexiglass to sit in. Doing this all by hand with a chisel. Speed things along here. Jump to the end. You can see we're just finishing cleaning up the pocket here. Made a pocket all the way around. Go ahead and just scrape this out a little bit. We'll do a little bit of sanding too to make the pocket as neat as we can. We also want to go ahead and fill in these extra gaps that were made by the saw. I don't want those in the final product, so we'll just go ahead and fill those in with some extra thickened epoxy, using my wood flour to fill that epoxy up. Fill in all the gaps here, and we're going to let that harden up overnight. And then the next day we can go ahead and clean that up, sand it off a little bit, and there we are. We have a nice pocket cut in our piece of plywood that will now hold our plexiglass in place. So we're going to take a piece of plexiglass, we're going to go ahead and cut that to fit the pocket. Be very careful cutting plexiglass. It can make a lot of very sharp shards when you're cutting on it. Go ahead and mark it, setting it up to fit the hole. Get it cut. Go ahead and do a dry fit here, make sure that it's going to fit in the pocket. Looks pretty good. Notice I have some orientation marks on the plexiglass. There's a clear film on that plexiglass that protects it, and that's where those marks are at. Now, because I'm going to put some silicone in that pocket, I want to pre-paint it blue. I don't want that pocket to be just bare wood, because that bare wood will show. We want to go ahead and start working on some of our hinge locations. So we're going to put the hinges approximately evenly distributed top to bottom. I think I put mine about 4 inches in. I mark the location of the holes. I'll go ahead and pre-drill those holes for the screws. The screws can be difficult to put in, so I like to pre-drill them. Makes it easier to get the screws in and out without stripping the head of the screw out. So here we are. We're going to go ahead and run the screw in now. Hold our hinges in place. You're going to see coming up why I still don't have the bottom on the box. You see the bottom of the box is open. That's going to be very important to us here coming up. We will see what we're going to do with that. Alright, so we got the hinges attached. Just to be secure, set the door in place. Now we can see from underneath the door by going through the bottom, and I can now mark the hinge locations on the door. Because the bottom is open, I can actually reach in there with my arm and mark those locations. That sets me up to be able to put the screws in the right place on the door. You can see here I've removed the door again, and I've removed the hinges. So I can mark on the door where the hinges go, where the hinge screws go, pre-drill for the hinge screws, put the hinge in place, and go ahead and put the screw on. And then the rest of them as well. So we have all the hinges on the door. And go ahead and put the door back on the box. So here's the door on the box. Looks real good. Plenty of space for the hinge. Check the door for fit. Make sure everything's going to be lined up good. We have a reasonable gap around the door on all sides. Door functions as expected. It's pretty good, except that the door is not laying all the way down when it's closed. There's a problem there. The problem is that the heads of the screws are hitting on plywood frame around the door. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to drill a couple of very shallow divots in that plywood. That will allow those screw heads to tuck into those divots. And you see here now that the door will close completely, and it looks much better. Just a little extra detail. I was not expecting to do that, so that's something new. So here I'm looking at where to locate the latch for the door. I want the latch to hit about in the middle of the door, but you can see that there's not enough wood there for me to attach it to, so it looks like I've got to put an extra block in place before we can attach that latch. Here we're gluing that extra block in place. And in the meantime, since I've made up a batch of glue, I'm gluing that block in place. I've decided to go ahead and add some decorative trim pieces to the front. This is to the front only of our police box. And this is an optional thing. This is not in the directions. You can do this if you want to. You don't have to. But it helps make that front corner stand out further than the door. So that's glued in place. We clamp it up good for the night. And we let the glue cure. Next day, smooth clamps. It's looking really good. You can see the door in place there. The decorative strips on the front. We've made no changes on the sides. Now, just above where I put the block for that latch, I'm going to go ahead and carve a pretty shallow notch in what's left of the wood around the door, the frame here. That's just to bring that down level with the rest of the block. That way I can fit that latch kind of in that spot. Now, it looks like this latch is not quite going to fit, so I'm going to have to open that up a little bit more. Basically the same process. I'll just cut it out. There we go, a little wider now. Now it will fit. So we stick it in place. Go ahead and we mark for our screw holes, just like we did with the hinges. We're going to go ahead and pre-drill those holes. This just makes it easier to run the screws in without stripping the heads out. And then we can go ahead and put our latch in place. We want our latch in place because that helps us line up on the door where the prong's going to be to hit that latch and hold the door in place. So get the screws in, pull it up nice and tight, looks good. We're going to go ahead and put the prong in the latch the way we want it to sit. And we can close the door, and once again from underneath through the bottom, we can mark where that prong needs to sit on the door itself, mark the location for its screw holes. There you see everything's marked, pre-drilled, and we're going to go ahead and attach the prong to the door itself. It's always fun trying to get a screw in the first time. And there we are. The prong is attached to the door. We're able to give it a test. So let's see how it works. Watching from inside, we see the prong hits on the latch and latches the door exactly as we wanted to. Woohoo! Good job, everybody. It's working. The hinges are in place. The latch is in place. Everything looks really good. So we're going to stop here for this episode. Coming up next time, we're going to start work on the lattice. We'll be working on the lattice for the door. We'll be working on the lattice for the box as well. There's a lot more detail in the lattice for the door. Alright, so this is what we've done today. We've worked on the door and the pocket for the plexiglass, the hinges, and the latch. We've got all of that put together. It's a very detailed step, but it's very important that it be done right so that everything works. Coming up next episode, we're going to start work on the lattice. Getting close to the finish line, guys. It's looking really good. It's starting to look like a classic police box. Very excited to see it when it's done. So here it is when it's painted. Should look pretty neat. Very exciting. Alright, this is our goals. Coming up in episode 7, we're going to start work on the lattice. Looking forward to it. This should be a little bit easier step, but still a lot of details, especially